one of the things that's another big theme across our company now is because we have people spread out all over the world, we have all sorts of different data systems, we really have a sort of restructuring underway to be a much more data-driven company. So that's sort of a company theme, that we're going to transform ourselves to become much more data-driven and talk about that in every opportunity we have inside of the company. And that comes with building in, now we're putting in place a very robust data warehouse and an analytics package on top. And that's something that we really didn't, I think, have the skills to do a few years ago or the resources. But now at this size we do, because we think, again, this is something we have to do to transition to be this 10,000-person global company making good decisions on what we're doing, which goes back to your question around how does finance play a role. I think it's driving those types of initiatives to say we're going to be a data-driven company. That's going to inform our strategy into which geography, how fast we go, which products, and then obviously having access to things like, well, which companies do we do business with in all of our geographies? That becomes a challenge. We have, Deutsche Bank in Brazil, but do the folks over in Germany even know that? And what are the use cases that they're using our products for in different geographies around the world for different multinationals? We have purchasing in Singapore at Barclays, but does the team that's working on Barclays in the UK even know about that? And do they have access to that information? And how do you unify that kind of stuff? And some of that, of course, goes to redistributing accounts and having global account managers. But those are all changes that I think data helps inform, because you can tie together various pieces that may not be obvious.
Actually, I was hired by Steve Scheinbaum, our CEO, to actually try and improve the way that we look at our data, primarily. The database that we have and the information that we have on our customers is very broad, and we collect a lot of information. Since we have a daily pay asset, we collect a lot of information on each of our individual advances. And at the time, MCC was really not utilizing that data in the best possible manner. So I came in with the intention of being able to take that database and analyze it on at least a monthly basis. Now we're getting close to analyzing it on a daily basis to help us make better decisions with respect to how we're pricing our assets, how we're servicing our customers, and how those decisions affect our profitability. Sure, absolutely. Yeah, what we did, we created a unit which reports up to me, which is called the Business Intelligence Group. We initially called it Capital Markets Group, but we subsequently changed the name to the Business Intelligence Group. And what we did, we brought in one of our senior underwriters who helped me understand the whole process with respect to the underwriting of each merchant when they come in for an advance. And through that process, we created a number of reports under the Business Intelligence Group that allowed us to essentially parse the data and make sense of what the data is. In addition to that, we've also brought in a statistical modeling package from IBM. SPSS is the name of the system, to help us do some statistical regressions on that data and help us better identify trends and anomalies to help us manage the portfolio and to look forward and actually score every single one of our potential clients or an applicant for a merchant cash advance when they come to MCC for money.
So what were the types of information you were trying to make visible on a daily basis?
A couple of things. We're now on a daily basis doing a better job of monitoring our liquidity position and understanding and projecting out on a daily basis what our fundings are going to be, what our ability is to draw on our warehouse facilities to fund that, what our equity requirement will be to fund those. In addition to that, we're also looking at performance of the assets. Because we collect on a daily basis, we can look at each individual merchant and make a decision on a collections basis as to who we need to call based on their performance on a daily basis. So if we have not collected from a particular merchant for, as an example, 3 days, we'll start to look at that particular merchant and try and understand why we haven't collected from them, and kind of make a decision as to whether that's an individual merchant that we should be following up with to understand if there's a problem. And looking at the performance of the portfolio, instead of when I first arrived, we were looking at it in a really kind of in 10-day increments and 30-day increments. So now we've moved that down to where we're looking at things more on a daily basis so that we can actually find problems before they metastasize and turn into something that is a problem that we have a harder time getting our arms around.
Like your typical SME, most of our analytics came from spreadsheets. And I like to say we were in spreadsheet hell. And that was the fact that everybody was tracking different metrics, different ways, and different data sources. And where it came to light was we were in a meeting with the managers, and we were in an ISO meeting. And one of our ISO metrics was on-time delivery performance. And we were sitting there, and I remember one person said, I said, they put a slide up and it said, here's your delivery performance. And I said, where do we get that delivery performance number? And so the ISO manager said, we get it from this person. And I said, okay. And I go to that person who's in the room. Where did you get that information from? I track it here and here and here. Well, then we ended up finding out somebody across the table said they track it. Somebody else said they tracked it. And we found out we were tracking the same metric in 3 different ways, in 3 different places by 3 different people, and none of them were the same number. And so we're sitting there saying, well, how can you run a business if, 1, you don't know where you're getting it from, and 2, there's no reliability or integrity behind the number. And so that's huge with me, is if we're going to make decisions for this business, we got to have a single source of information. We got to have the location that everybody goes to get their information from, and that they trust that. And so we went into probably a 2.5 year journey on implementing a business intelligence system. We started out with sales, finance, and backlog information, sales analytics, goals processing, and now we've implemented it at basically every department, all through accounts receivable, payables, HR, all through finance, production, distribution, quality, inventory. We've delivered performance is one of them. We've implemented it across the entire organization. And where it's neat is things that used to take multiple days to put together PowerPoint presentations from multiple sources. Now I can get on in one morning and in 45 minutes, which is how I start my day every day, and I can go through my dashboards, boom, 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 and I can see what's going on in every department in the company. And that's important for me. And it's important, too, that when you go into a meeting that all the other department managers are seeing the same things. So when we all get in, we don't have to talk about where did the data come from. We don't have to talk about how is it calculated. We all know the number. We talk about how to fix it. And that's, the age-old problem. We like to say, hey, people spend 80% of their time putting data together and 20% of the time analyzing it. And I like to think what we have done is we flip-flop that. And we spent 20% of the time, if even that, or putting it together, and 80% of the time analyzing it and fixing something and doing a reaction off of it. Because, if it takes us so long to actually get the data together and get a trusted figure together and sit down and talk about it, that delays our ability to actually implement any kind of change that could affect that metric. And we don't want to delay that. We need to speed that process up, and that's what our BI system has done for us.
Next, Mike Smith, CFO of Castle Worldwide, joins us. Now, Castle provides testing and training programs to help professionals obtain certifications and licenses in different lines of work. Here you'll hear how Smith, as the firm's CFO, has a deep knowledge into how data analytics are being used more broadly, certainly beyond the realm of finance at the firm. Here's what Mike shared with us. So in order to protect the public, what has Castle Worldwide done, perhaps, to ensure the accuracy of all this data that testing would seem to generate?
the way it happens is when we develop exams, we interview subject matter experts who are the ones who help us develop what we call items, which are basically questions that we use on our clients' exams. And then we put those items together in a form that tests the knowledge, skills, and ability of the test taker to assess their ability to perform, the related occupation and duties. So once the exam's ready, we do a beta test with a group of professionals in the related field of study, which will provide us data about the items in the exams. And in the past, we'd have to go through and perform a very manual process that would take several days calculating statistics on all the different items before we're able to actually analyze the results. But now that we have the SAS enterprise software, the statistics are calculated in a matter of minutes, and we can immediately begin analyzing the data to build the final exam forms from these beta tests. So once we build the final exams and we put them out there, they're taken by the candidates. Then we use the SAS enterprise software again to calculate statistics that allow us to look for abnormal patterns that could indicate cheating or irregularities in the exam. So we can then analyze those statistics, and we do that at least once a year, and we create annual reports for our clients that talk about the health and the validity of the exam. Before we had the SAS enterprise software, the annual reports would take 3 to 4 months to complete, but now they take 3 to 4 weeks. So that's a huge time and cost savings for our company, and it's a great benefit for our clients to know that the exams are healthy, that there's no cheating, no irregularities, and the exams are actually doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Finally, we spoke with Carlos Salazar, CFO of Teledyne, who shares some insight into the forecasting challenges companies face when their customers are large government agencies. But here, Carlos explains how Teledyne is now enhancing its own client offerings with business intelligence functionality.
As we know, in business and life in general, change is a constant. So one of the things that's been I wouldn't say a surprise, but it's a change factor that we've had to deal with very often in our organization, and it's also specific to the type of market, this federal space that we work in, has been some of the trends in procurement cycle. So when we go to market to get new business, the procurement cycle for the federal government has had a number of challenges along the way over the last couple of years, specifically because of the budgetary situation. A lot of the procurement cycles have slid over to the right. So when we forecasted that we may get a deal this year, for example, we've seen the procurement cycle slid as far out as 18 to 24 months. So the government is not able to get the proposal, the RFP out in time, and the process takes a lot longer than we originally expected. And that's something that puts a lot of pressure on the business as we go into financial planning for the year. Obviously, we have certain assumptions of what new business we're going to bring into the company. And seeing the procurement cycle slide creates a gap in when we actually are able to achieve that revenue. So I think that's one of the things that we have to stay on top of and try and manage. And as we see the procurement cycle slide to the right, what we try to do is number one, continue to stay close to the clients that we're looking to get new work from, and number two, take the time to continue to build capabilities in the business so that once the cycles come back to a normal, we'll have the opportunity to really leverage those capabilities that we have built over this time to get new work. And I'll just share one specific example of that. A lot of the work that we do is in the enterprise infrastructure management part of IT. So we manage the IT backbone for the agencies that we support. It's essential work. The backbone has to be in place, and it's an important function for the agencies we support. One of the things we're doing right now to try and differentiate ourselves while we have some time, while the market stabilizes, is we're looking to build specific capabilities that will add on to the enterprise infrastructure, and it will make our offerings that much more valuable. Specifically, right now, we're working on putting together a solution that's going to provide business intelligence to the enterprise that is going to be excellent. It's based on a very advanced technology called QlikView, and it will allow our clients to be able to gather data from their networks in a manner that's very fast, very efficient, and it will provide insights into their decision making. So again, to go back to the main question, as we have these changes take place in the market and things are not going as expected, we're looking to utilize these challenges as opportunities to build other things that will help us in the long run.